everybody. Welcome back to another episode of CMN Chats. My name is Lexa Sandler. I am a senior prad major as well as a digital content assistant within the College of Communication, and I'm so excited to bring you guys another episode with our guest, Hector Cervantes. Hey, Hector.
Hello. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being on the show. Would you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Hector. I am a senior at DePaul University. I'm in the combined degree program, which means I'm getting my master's degree in 5 years as opposed to 6. So I will be getting my master's in journalism and my bachelor's degree in communications. That's why it's called the combined degree program. You have them combined together.
How did you choose communication studies as your bachelor's degree?
Yes, so I knew I wanted to do journalism when I came here as a freshman at DePaul, but I was really unsure of what my second major would be. I personally like politics a lot. I did a few political science classes my freshman year. I realized that it really wasn't for me. I just didn't like the vibe that much. And then I started taking more of my communication core classes that's required as a journalism major, like the intercultural communication, public speaking, introduction to human communication, and introduction to mass communications. And I noticed that I really loved all of those classes. I couldn't pick a favorite one. So I was like, you know what? If I really love communications, like the classes, I'm going to enjoy this field.
So you really couldn't pick out of the 4 communication core classes. For me, I knew that public speaking was at the far bottom of that list, not even compared to the other 3.
Yeah.
So, and more about your studies, and choosing to do the combined degree program. When did you make that decision? And obviously, you mentioned that you wanted to study journalism. What's kind of your goals for being in the combined degree program?
Yes, so my goals in the combined degree program is just to have another area of study. I knew just in case if there was ever some point in life where I'm like, you know what, journalism, I'm getting a little tired of it, I would have a second plan. I know journalism and communications are very close with each other, but I also wanted something that complemented, that had a major that complemented like another major.
Mhm.
And then I applied for the combined degree program. It was almost a year ago. It was like March of 2019 or March of 2020. Sorry, March of 2020, and I filled out the application, and then it took a month, and then I was accepted into the combined degree program.
Very cool. So you're, from what I've gathered, a pretty busy guy. You have a lot of current job experiences. You want to tell us a little bit about, kind of what's on your resume and what you're doing right now?
Yes, I can tell you that. So currently, for the 2 on-campus jobs that I have, I'm a facilities assistant at DePaul University, and I'm also the communications assistant for the Vincentians in Action team. And my last job experience that I have currently is I'm a communications intern at the organization Live for Lolly.
Very cool. What have you learned from all these experiences you've had?
Yes, so I'm going to start off with talking about more of like the communications job slash internship. So what I've really learned about being a communications student and an intern is just seeing how, or just more. What I've learned most is just having more of the hands-on experience that you normally don't receive in the classroom. Like in the classroom, you talk about these are the best practices of communications. Good. This is what good public speaking is. This is what good interpersonal communication skills are. And when you have like a job or internship that focuses heavily on reaching out to people and organizations and just advertising the work that that organization does, it really shows how much like you've learned in the classroom. Like for example, I'll talk about the Vincentians in Action communication role. With that role, it's an organization that is part of campus or mission and ministry at DePaul. And with mission and ministry at DePaul, it's all about learning and implementing the Vincentian mission of social justice and dignity for all in the time at DePaul. So I'm in charge of spreading that mission to the team of the Vincentians in Action community, which is part of the Vincentians formations team at DePaul. And they're a group of people that are scholars that are Vincentian Heritage Tour scholars. They do a bunch of events, or they have events that they have to attend, and trainings. And I'm in charge of spotlighting the trainings that they do on the social media and the upcoming events that are both mission and ministry and Vincentians in Action team.
Very cool. So being a communication studies student, how have you taken, what you've learned in your coursework and applied that to your role and vice versa? Because I think for me, at least during my time at DePaul, like I said, I'm also a senior, is being able to combine what I'm learning in that classroom and taking that to internship or job experiences that I have makes the whole experience that much more worthwhile, and getting so much more out of it when you hear something that's being told to you in a classroom and actually applying that to your life. So is there a particular course that you've taken in the communication studies program that has really influenced you, or a favorite professor?
Yeah, there was a lot, but I mean,
Dude, that's a loaded question. I said a lot in that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the classes that really got me more involved into like kind of like putting myself out there and like getting my resume and cover letter more prep for internships had to be the class business communications. I took that with Cynthia Maxey spring quarter of 2019 or spring quarter of 2020, and it really it was a class that I really liked how it combined business principles with like working in an organization and tying communication skills. And with that class, what I really learned the most was it was more like what I learned most about one of the last projects we had was we had to do a project related to a public speaking. We had to do an informative presentation, and I talked about how to be like a leader on campus, since I've had various like leadership roles at DePaul, and it had to be a formative topic like presentation. And what I really learned about that is I learned how each person has their own style of speaking, and and it was also during the virtual because of how COVID is going right now. It was it really taught me how to like how the professor sees those different like those the way you speak within like the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely learning that is how to speak versus from a company or having a conversation. It's a very different environment. You have that can be, very beneficial for you in learning that. Speaking of COVID and having classes online, how have you been able to balance, your coursework and your internships and your personal life through all of this?
Yes, so I would say that spring quarter of 2020 was probably the most challenging quarter I've had. Not just because that's when we realized that COVID, like the pandemic, was here in like the United States. It was more like end of winter quarter, but like spring quarter was like when things were closed down and all that. I had all asynchronous courses spring quarter. I remember my friends were telling me like, you don't have any synchronous courses. I'm like, nope, they're all async. So that meant I had to create my own schedule. And I was introduced with the working from home environment. It was pretty tough. So what I was able to do to keep me balanced was I planned the days and times I had to do my asynchronous classwork. And then what I try to do for fall and winter quarter for my senior year was at least have one or two synchronous classes or online hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have like community, like I can have like a class where it kind of feels like we're in class, like on a computer, and I would have some sort of schedule. And then I do like having one or two asynchronous classes, just because during the day, like I have like my jobs and internships that I have to do. I can work on my asynchronous classes any time of the week, just as long as I get it done by the deadline.
Yeah, I find that creating a schedule, especially currently, I have 3 asynchronous classes and 1 synchronous class, and making sure that you create a schedule to make sure that you're on top of those asynchronous classes, because you might put them on the back burner, forget about them. But I think that creating that schedule, making sure that you try and develop some sort of routine through all of this has kept me on track, and it sounds like that's what's kept you on track as well. But in a non-COVID world, um, throughout your time at DePaul, even though you are graduating, but you're continuing on your studies here, has there been a favorite memory that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life?
A favorite memory.
Hmm.
Whew. I would I would have to say, honestly, the simple. I'm taking this from the Vincentian lens since I work with mission and ministry at DePaul. Like I know Saint Vincent de Paul once said, "The simple things in life are the best." The Vincentian mission is all about living a life in simplicity. I really enjoy, just in general, seeing everyone that I know on campus and being able to say hi to them. Like just taking a stroll to campus to my class and then seeing like my professor or a friend or someone that I've met at DePaul and just saying, "How are you doing?" Checking up on them. And then one other event, like fun event that I did like at DePaul was it had to be Fest. I went with some friends. The Fest for 2019. That was when Lil Yachty and 303 came to DePaul because I'm really into concerts and like music, and it was just fun. Like I had the time of my life on the quad, and it was a great way to be with friends and have a lot of college memories.
Yeah, fest is always a good time. I've never gone to a fest, and
Mhm.
I was so excited to go this past spring, but obviously it was canceled.
Yeah,
So maybe in a few years we'll get some concerts, some live concerts back, and we'll be able to have those fun times again.
yeah.
But for my final question, do you have any advice for incoming students, students wanting to study communication studies, students wanting to go into journalism? What is kind of throughout your experience the best advice that you have for somebody coming into college?
Yes. One of the best piece of advice that I could share is just put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. I know as a freshman, it can be really scary trying to join a club or an organization. And there's a bunch of people that are older than you that know what they've been doing. But just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Honestly, join. I encourage students that want to pursue a journalism degree to get or journalism or communications degree or any degree in the communication school is to get involved with on-campus publications. I know they're always they're always looking out and evaluating what students' needs are. Like for example, I used to be a contributing writer for the 14 East magazine, and I know they made a magazine for students that are Latinx called Pueblo, where they can submit their pieces. And I know the DePaulia last year, it was like a year ago, they created La DePaulia, and it was, and I know it was a really big thing because they were featured on Fox 32 Chicago, and they wanted a voice for they wanted people with Hispanic heritage or people that write and speak Spanish to have their voices heard in Spanish news. So they always just look out and see what students really want, and they deliver it to those student publications.
Very cool. Well, those are all the questions that I have for you. I want to thank you for being a part of CMN Chats.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And thank you for everybody for watching at home, and stay tuned for future episodes.
Thank you.